Hello. Okay, let's start trying to explain the system, at least the current one, and the difference between what Obi-Wan is talking about and what was the last way I did the point distribution. So first of all, the first thing you need to understand is that the way we at the start did the points distribution was we take the winner's amount and it was like 60% for the finalist and 60% for the semi-finalist or out of that, and then like 50 or 60% each round. And that was like from tennis. I think in tennis the second player gets 60% of the winner, etc. Problem with that is sometimes the tournament has a lot of players or smaller amount in the different rounds. Let's say, for example, the current FFA, there was a lot of round 3 players compared to the ones who made semifinals. There was 40 people here and only 10 people here or something like that. So it doesn't make sense to do a 50% drop here. So so what I did was it was proportional drop, like 1/4 of the number or fifth. And then it has its problem. But let me now explain what I did and what the other options is. So what I did was start from scratch, building a reference amount of points for a theoretical tournament. So this is the reference points. It starts with 1,000 and it drops down like 20% to second place and then 16% to the next, etc., etc. The reason that this factor goes down is because it multiplies itself. So this 16% is the 20% minus 20%. This 13% is 16% minus 16%. And the reason this calculation makes it so that like when you double the amount of players, the points go down by the same percentages. Okay, so between 12 to 24 is the same drop. It's between 24 and 48, close to it at least. So this is a point distribution for any place you got. So this, if there was a tournament of Risk when you knew exactly who's the second, third, etc. players, this would be the amount of points that they will get. You just need to change like the top line for the tournament. Let's say it was a GM or something. All the points will change accordingly. Okay. So it has the other variable is the amount of points that we start with, the reduction. This could be 20%, this could be 10%, this could be 30%, and everything changes accordingly. Okay, so the current one is 20%, and this is a number that we can change. This number will be relative to the points amount of the tournament. Okay, so now let's see cases and what we do with this. So every tournament has the reference beside it. Okay, and what I do is every player gets to a certain round, so we have a number or a letters to the round identifier, and the amount of points a player gets is the amount of points in that round exactly. If there are multiple, it's an average of those. So these are average of these, but times 1.9 times this divided by this. So this is this formula. Okay, we look at this column to find all of those with F. We average these times this divided by this, and we do it for every round. So it doesn't matter if you're in the semi-final, all the semi-finals points per position are averaged. If you're the second place, you get exactly the second place amount of points. Okay, why is it important? So let's say, for example, let's look at the semi-finalists here. There are only 10 players here, so there are only 4 semi-finalists. So they would get the average of position 8 to 11 instead of position 8 to 12 to 13. Okay, so if I would add a bunch of semi-finalists here, you would see that the point amount per semi-finalist drops. Okay, and let's say the last FFA one, where there is a lot of semi-finalists, and they get from 8th place, from 7th place to this is 18th, so they get a lot less points because the average also positions lower, like this. That means that if you're in a 10-player semi-finalist, you get a bit more than a 12 one, and a lot more than a 18 semi-final. And for every round, it's made it very easier because I don't change the exact same formula. You get the average amount of the players in that round. Until we decide, maybe we'll make distinction between points of each player at the cutoff. But until then, they are the same round, they get the same point. It's average of the points of their respected position. What a lot of people are saying that this distribution makes the GM final a bit weird, a bit less, like people get less points that they think they should. So why? Because these two players got the second and third position, the other finalists, their average goes down because now they don't have these points with them, so they get less points. It's almost 50% from the winner. Okay, so let's say I will add these two finalists. You see their amount of points is 1151, and when I add these, they get Kilted and Monteros and Curl get less. Okay, so that's like a part of the formula. So if you use the formula, this will happen. One way to kind of solve it is change the amount of points, like points that go down within each step. So we can change this to, let's say, I don't know, 12 or something like that. Let's say 13, I think maybe. Yeah, or maybe even 14. Yeah, so now people get on average, they will get like 69% if you're a finalist. And now if we go back to look at the GM final, now they will get 60% of the winner, but those will get more. And other finalists will also get more in return. So this is more than 60%, this is 70% or 69% of the winner. Okay, so this is the new method, and it is generic enough to, even if we have a tournament that you have a winner, second place, third place, etc., all the way. If we count points between cutoffs, if it matters, then we can use this. I find it very, very nice and elegant solution. You only have one number to play around with, which is the amount of points that you take here, this number. And that's why I think it's better. So what Obi-Wan said is that player in the GM final should not be penalized for losing games in the final. So these three players, they get less points because they lost the second and third game. So they shouldn't have less. The other thing he said is that if you're a semi-finalist, you're a semi-finalist. Doesn't matter if you're in an 18-player semi-final or 10-player semi-final or 12-player semi-final. If you go to the semi-final, you should get the same amount of points. I think this was because of the importance of the stage. I think that was his case, but maybe he can represent himself better. Anyway, I hope this explains the system and how it goes. Maybe I will have to make another video to explain it more, but that's it for now.